This is the moment when hypersonic ballistic missiles launched by Russia hit a block of flats in Kyiv. This is major damage. Many of the people who were sleeping in their apartments at that time lost their lives, and the injury count is nearly 100. Survivors remember with horror the sound of missiles and the devastating explosions. Victoria is 36 years old and says that after the July 2nd bombings, she can hardly sleep at night, especially since her son also suffered a strong shock.
Ми в цей час були з чоловіком і з сином, моєму синові 7 років. Ми були у себе в квартирі, в коридорі. У нас повибивало всі вікна, було дуже страшно. І в той момент важко було зорієнтуватися. У нас тут почалася пожежа від того, що осколок попав в трубу і почалась дуже сильна пожежа. І двері наші вхідні в під'їзд були заблоковані. І люди, які спускалися з верхніх поверхів, не могли вийти. І тоді мій чоловік відкрив наші двері з нашої квартири. І люди виходили, евакуювалися через нашу квартиру. Тобто там вибилося вікно, і через наше вікно виходили всі люди з під'їзду. Другий місяць живемо, кожну ніч ми спимо в укритті.
După aproape 2 luni, utilajele au venit să acopere craterul pe care l-a provocat racheta balistică trimisă de ruși pe 2 iulie, atunci când 30 de oameni au murit aici în Kyiv.
The Russian shelling is so intense that in Kyiv you can find entire streets where almost every building is damaged. And this summer, the Russian army changed the strategy. Moscow soldiers are bombarding the Ukrainian capital, mainly with ballistic missiles and missile drones, which are hard to destroy. Even so, people find every day the strength to have a somewhat normal life and forget for a few moments about the war horrors. Mothers raise their babies, children play. At a first glance, Kyiv seems a city like any other. But when night falls, the warning alarms and explosions, like a broken clock, insist on reminding them that the Russians are attacking again for almost 5 years.
Складно живеться. Але справляємось, що нам робити. Ми з Києва нікуди виїжджати не плануємо. Тут сім'я, тут бізнес, тут діти, тут школа, тут робота, тут все. Ходимо в укриття, готуємо дітей до школи, живемо.
The Spanish government has announced reforms to immigration and asylum laws following the migration crisis in Ceuta. The Council of Ministers has approved a draft bill to bring Spanish legislation into line with the European Union's new migration pact. The decision comes after weeks of criticism over the handling of a crisis that has left dozens dead, completely overwhelmed Ceuta, and become one of the most serious in Spain's recent history.
Se ha impulsado la tramitación de una nueva ley reguladora de la protección internacional, así como una modificación parcial de la Ley de Derechos y Libertades de los Extranjeros y de su integración social. Son anteproyectos elaborados con un enfoque evidentemente garantista, de respeto a los derechos humanos de las personas migrantes, el mismo enfoque que nos llevó, como bien saben, a rechazar el reglamento de retorno a terceros países. Pero también es una perspectiva que conjuga la necesaria gestión de nuestras fronteras para garantizar la seguridad de nuestro país.
The reform introduces new controls in Ceuta, Melilla and the Canary Islands, as well as a procedure that can last up to 12 weeks for certain asylum applications. The government has also established a single command structure to manage the crisis, while Defense Minister Margarita Robles has apologized to the people of Ceuta who felt abandoned and has defended Spanish sovereignty over Ceuta and Melilla.
Cualquier amenaza o agresión que se realice a cualquiera de esas dos ciudades autónomas lo es a España. Ponen de manifiesto una vez más la necesidad de avanzar y reforzar una política migratoria integral y coordinada en el ámbito de la Unión Europea que refuerce precisamente una gestión eficaz de las fronteras.
The government is also preparing new physical barriers along the southern border and is working with Brussels to strengthen Frontex's involvement.
The United Nations and the Red Cross warned that the world is dangerously close to a future where autonomous weapons, so-called killer robots, could target humans. The organizations called for urgent international regulations as there is currently no specific treaty on autonomous and AI-enabled weapons.
3 years ago, we called on states to establish specific provisions and restrictions on autonomous weapon systems. Today, we renew this call with even greater urgency. The fundamental concerns remain unchanged, but the risks have intensified. We are now dangerously close to crossing a moral red line, the autonomous targeting of humans by machines.
In 2023, the UN and the Red Cross called for states to establish specific bans and restrictions on the rapidly developing technology by this year. Lethal autonomous weapon systems are able to select targets and apply force without human intervention. There has to date been no confirmed use of fully autonomous weapons, but with the abundant use of drone warfare in the Middle East and Ukraine, some fear it could soon happen. After 3 years of talks, countries are set to decide in November whether to launch treaty negotiations. "14 newborns were killed in a fire at a major hospital in Pakistan's capital Islamabad on Wednesday. The fire broke out at around 6:45 a.m. on the 3rd floor of the Mother and Child Health Ward at the Public Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences. The fire was apparently caused by the explosion of an air conditioning unit compressor inside the nursery. Police said the deceased was severely burned, making DNA testing necessary to confirm their identity before releasing the bodies to the families.
3 दिन से था, कैसे कह सकते हैं कि जल के बच्चे, एक बंदा और नहीं जला, एक कुछ नहीं जला, एक आदमी इनका कहता है कि हम लोग बड़े लोगों को बचा रहे थे। क्यों? बड़े लोग पाँव से चल नहीं सकते थे, तुम लोग उनको बचा रहे थे, तुम लोग बच्चे छोड़ के बच्चों को लॉक लगा के कहाँ दफा हुए थे। उसके 2 घंटे बाद यहाँ पे रेस्क्यू आई है, 4 घंटे बाद पुलिस आई है, यहाँ पे चस्के लेने आए हैं, एसीडीसी सारे यहाँ पे चस्के लेके अंदर बाहर घूम फिर के चले गए। इनमें से किसी एक का बच्चा जला होता मैं देखती कि ये कैसे बैठे हैं।
Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif expressed sorrow and ordered an investigation.
1 million children in Afghanistan are suffering from life-threatening malnutrition in a worsening new crisis hitting the country, the United Nations warned on Tuesday. UNICEF's Afghanistan representative Tajuddin Ayuwali said that if there is no treatment or rapid intervention, those children are at risk of dying. The UN agency added that the total amount of malnourished children has surpassed 3.7 million across the country, though most are not classified as severe cases. Afghanistan has endured repeated periods of widespread hunger in recent decades as it had struggled through civil war and other crises. An economic collapse followed the Taliban government's return to power after US-led forces withdrew in 2021, creating instabilities greatly affecting children. Ayuwali said that nearly 40% of children admitted to hospitals with severe wasting and medical complications were babies under the age of 6 months old. Meanwhile, children under 2 years of age make up more than 80% of severe acute malnutrition cases in Afghanistan.
Archaeologists in Lima have uncovered the remains of a hospital dating back to the 16th century. The hospital treated sailors that were ill who stopped at Pacific ports when Peru was a Spanish colony.
Y hemos encontrado los vestigios de una iglesia y de un hospital que se creían desaparecidos, que es la iglesia del Espíritu Santo, que tenía como la costumbre de la época un hospital anexo donde también se enterraban las personas.
The experts located the entrance of the church where mass was held for the sick. They also discovered walls, floors and tiles, human skeletons and other artifacts.
Aparte de los hallazgos funerarios, se ha encontrado también, de por sí me parece que lo más representativo es la arquitectura misma, que conserva pues los materiales y las técnicas tradicionales, los cuales nosotros hemos restaurado. Se ha encontrado un piso de azulejos valencianos del siglo XVIII y se ha encontrado también un área con evidencia prehispánica muy interesante.
The hospital operated until shortly before 1821, when Peru's independence was proclaimed. The reasons for its closure are unknown. The country music legend Dolly Parton has died at the age of 80. Her family announced her passing in a statement shared on social media. Parton had faced a brief battle with cancer, her publicist later wrote. The American singer, songwriter, and actress was one of the most influential figures in country music and shaped music and popular culture over a career spanning decades. She wrote hundreds of songs and was behind global hits, including Jolene, 9 to 5, and I Will Always Love You. With 55 Grammy nominations and 10 wins, Parton is the third most nominated woman in Grammy history. The news of Dolly Parton's death evoked an outpouring of reactions from prominent figures across the entertainment industry and beyond. Meanwhile, fans gathered in numerous locations to pay tribute, laying flowers at her Walk of Fame star and across Tennessee. President Donald Trump also paid tribute in a post on his Truth Social account, calling her passing a loss for millions of people. The U.S. flag was lowered to half-mast outside the White House on Tuesday in honor of Parton.